And I thought that video was going to make you guys talk. Please, you have to. Okay, so what we are saying is that auto scaling, auto, when you think about auto and the scaling, right? Auto means automatic. Scaling means, putting stuff around. Auto scaling simply means in your head, two things, right? Launching servers. And what else without human intervention?
Auto scaling group.
Auto scaling means launching servers without human intervention. That's our definition for auto scaling. Now, what are the components involved with auto scaling? The two main components of auto scaling are a launch configuration and the auto scaling group. Now the question becomes, what is the use of these two components? Let's start with launch configuration. Launch configuration's job, right? The most important job for launch configuration is to hold that gold image, to know that image where servers will be launched from, and to be able to use that image and launch servers. That means launch configuration is the one that's going to come here and say, okay, according to the information that I've been given, I need to launch a server bed from this, and I need to say launch server from this. And my boss told me that when I'm launching the server, I should launch by the T2 micro, and so on and so forth. I should use by this key, I should put that server in this particular security group, I should do this, I should do that. Launch configuration. See, the name is very good, right? Launch configuration. So it's a guy to launch the servers. It's a guy that knows how to launch the server and from where to launch the server. Right? The launch configuration. So it's the guy doing having the configuration for launching servers. Now, this guy, though, even though it knows the image to launch the server from, it knows what kind of server to launch, whether it's a T2 micro that it should be launching. It knows what security group to put that server in. It knows the key to attach to that server and so on and so forth. This guy cannot launch a server without somebody telling this guy to launch a server. That's simply what we are saying. Well, who is this guy that is going to sit there and command me how to launch a server? That's when you talk about auto scaling group. So auto scaling group, the job of auto scaling group is to maintain the settings and send signals to launch configuration when something needs to happen. When a server needs to be launched. When auto scaling group is sending this signal to launch configuration to launch a server, auto scaling group does not know what kind of server is going to be launched. Who knows which server is going to be launched? Launch configuration, because it's the guy that knows what kind of server will be launched, from which image will I use. But auto scaling group will need to tell launch configuration it's time to launch a server. Now the question becomes, how does auto scaling group know it's time to launch a server though? It's because in auto scaling group, what do you define? You define policies. Auto scaling group knows that my master told me I should always make sure there are 2 servers running. My master also told me that based on this policy, always look at these policies. And if somebody come and concosa to you, right, and she should say to you that, hey, the CPU is at 75% or more, do something, take action. So auto-scaling group will have that. And how big of an action can I take? That will depend on what? The maximum servers you have defined that auto-scaling can go up to. If things are calm, if everybody is sleeping, how low can I go? Auto-scaling group is going to know that, because auto-scaling group is built into what? Inside auto-scaling group, you define policies, you define scaling policies. So even though things are calm, based on my policies though, my boss told me to always maintain 2 servers. That is auto-scaling job, auto-scaling group. That's the job of auto-scaling. Okay? It can be this simple. Now, if you go and define your policies wrong, it's not going to work. It has to be done right. Now, who tells auto-scaling group that the CPU is at 80%? Who is that guy? Well, the question can come down to this, right? Who first of all monitors the server to start with? CloudWatch is the service that monitors the server to see how our CPU is behaving. How is the server behaving? What is the connection count? What is the latency? What is this? CloudWatch is constantly monitoring the server. Because of that, CloudWatch is the guy that is going, hey, CPU of this server is at 50%. No, it's going up to 75%. It's at 100% now. Okay? And AutoScale will say, oh, are you serious? Based on the policies I have been told the CPU should never go up to 75% or more without me doing something. So now the CPU is at 75%. What is the cause for action that I have? Cause for action might be to add 1 server, or add 2 servers at a shot, or add 3 servers, depending on how you define it. We have defined as for the test to be the cause of action to be for it to add 1 server. Because of that, auto-scaling would then send a signal to who? To launch configuration. Please, I need a server. What does launch configuration do? Launch configuration looks in its configuration and say, okay, I have been told that whenever I need to launch a server, this is the image, class version 2 image. And the server I should launch according to what I've been designed or defined should be a T2 micro. I should put this key. I should use this security group. And then a server is launched. Now, how do you know, if you want to, how do you know who is going to tell you as the engineer? Now, CloudWatch did a good job, right, by telling auto-scaling. But who is going to tell you as the engineer, though, that a server was launched if you knew what? Who is going to go to you, the engineer, and tell you that a server was launched? That is where SNS, Simple Notification Service, comes into play. So Simple Notification Service is to do what? Its job is to be able to tell people what is happening on the environment. So Simple Notification Service work hand in hand with who? With CloudWatch. So when the CPU is at 90%, you can create an alarm to say if the CPU is ever at 90%, even though you are telling auto-scaling and so on and so forth, I also want you to tell who? SNS topic that I will create. And under that SNS topic, when you tell SNS topic, what is SNS topic going to do? Is it going to do some magic to let people know? No. Under SNS topic, you have subscribed, you have added, if that makes sense. You have added your email under SNS topic. To say, hey, if CloudWatch tells you that CPU is at 90%, please, I want to know. So you rely on SNS to tell you when CPU is at 90%. That is simply what we are doing here. Nothing crazy. Right? Isn't that just communication? That's all what it is. Because see, what kills you people is the mindset that this thing just works. Oh, he told me that I should always do it like this. I don't want to hear that anymore. There is nothing like I need to do it like this. Is you are doing it like this so that it can work like this. How does it work? That's a question that you always baffle with your work. You come and do a presentation and someone will tell you, but how does this guy knows that we are not longer working here? Or how does this does this, right? That's the question. So it's not just about it working. It's you understanding the mechanism, right? The communication, the relationship. How does it get routed? Before at the end of the day, you open your email and like in mine, you have an alert. For example, I have an alert from my load balancer saying that you are receiving this because there is an unhealthy instance in your load balancer. What is the relationship? How is the transaction happening? Before at the end of the day, I get an email, right? It's because I have an SNS topic, right? Under that SNS topic, the first thing I do is I subscribe to that SNS topic. So if something happens, if SNS topic receive any info, it's gonna tell me about the info because I've subscribed to that SNS topic. Now, who is gonna provide SNS with this info is CloudWatch, because CloudWatch is the one always monitoring the server. Okay? Remember, the concept is simple. You cannot architect it in your brain. You cannot put it on the paper, not to talk of implementing it. That diagram of that thing you are doing, how it's working, needs to be in your brain, period. Okay? All right. Let's go and do a quick one then. I'm assuming that everybody should be good to go. Okay? Did not get this wrong, right? Okay. So we have our image here, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to launch a server. So we are trying to move to version 3 by patching our image. Let's assume that we have an outdated image. All we're going to do is we're going to patch this image, okay? And then we're going to create a new image from it, which will now be version 3. Why version 3? Because version 2 was outdated, were related to patches. Patches is updating, nothing complex. So I come here, this is my original Go image, right? I come here, I launch a server, say I'm launching a server for my Go image. I do next. I say I'm gonna put it in SmartTech on my public subnet 1. And what do I say? I put my script because it's my Go image. I have already users defined in there, right? I want to be able to log in at those users. So I take my script. I cannot forget this, right? Put this in here. I do next. Teacher, go to bed. I do next. I say.
Sorry, Prof. I can't see the screen. I don't know if I'm the only person.
Who else cannot see the screen?
I I can see the screen.
I can see the screen.
That's something you have to fix from your end. And then I do, for example, I can say live image version 3. This is going to be our live image version 3, right? Security group, put it here, and then load your server. And then I have a server here. Oh, crap. Did I tell it to give a public IP? No. Okay. So this is where you can use an elastic IP, right? So we launch a server and we forgot to tell this server to give us a public IP, right? What can I do to get a public IP? This is where an elastic IP can play. But I'm not asking you guys to use elastic IP. I'm just trying to show you guys. So I can come here, elastic IP. I say I want an elastic IP. I look at it. Now I have a public IP, but which is an elastic IP. So this kind of IP will not change. Even if I stop the server I started, the IP address will still be there. I cannot take this IP address, associate it to this server that I just launched. Here's a server that I just launched. Associate this IP to. Now you will see that this server here has an elastic, has a public IP, which is an elastic IP. So if I stop this server started, this IP will not change. If I delete this server, this IP address will be there. In case if I launch another server, I can take that IP address, attach it to that particular server. So this is what you will be using in production at your work. You will not be using default public IP addresses that are being given to servers. Okay? So I take this IP address, clear my screen.
Can you share your screen, please?
I'm sharing my screen. I just asked if nobody was seeing my screen. Huh?
I can see
it.
I can see it.
So, sorry, it's me. I think I
Okay.
I'm also able to see.
All right. I SSH as I have a user in my gold image called admin, right? SSH as admin. It says your first time logging into this server. Do you trust this server? I say yes. It says what is the password for admin? Put it in here. I'm in the server. So we just launched a server from our gold version 2, right? And we are assuming that our gold version 2 was outdated. So we are trying to patch this server. We're not going to do anything, but we are just trying to patch this server and create another image for me. Okay? So I come here, I say sudo yum update -y. It says, please provide the password for admin. Let's say this is the password. Okay, you see how so our gold image was actually outdated. You see we have 35 packages that are outdated, including the kernel. The kernel is the core of the operating system, right? The kernel was outdated too. So we are patching this server, right? Once we patch this server now, we're gonna create a gold version 3 that will be now the latest one, right? And it's the latest one with latest packages. So anytime you patch a server, what do? You reboot that server. So we're gonna do a reboot. You don't have to go to the console and click on reboot. You don't have to do this and click reboot. No, you can reboot it. If you are already on the terminal, you can just run sudo reboot. It's gonna reboot the server. Remember, when it's rebooting the server, it's gonna kick you out of the server. You need to relog back in, right? So if I run this, you see how it says connection to this was closed by a remote host. Why? Because I rebooted the server. So the server is the process of stopping and the starting. Why am I doing that? So that, for example, we just patched this server. And one thing you saw in that server is the kernel was also outdated. When I reboot the server, it will not come up with the new kernel. Get there. But that is what we do. Anytime you patch your server, you need to reboot it for you to be sure that the patching was successful. So let's see if that server is up. So it's not up yet. It's still doing its thing. Let's wait. All right, it's up now. It's asking me for the password. Now I'm back in there. You see that if I run, let's run sudo yum update again. It says, what is admin password? I put it there. Now it comes back saying that there are no packages marked for update. That means our packages are all up to date. So now we have a live Go image. See, live. A live Go image that all the packages are up to date, right? So let's create an image of it now so that we can have our class version 3 that is up to date. Let me grab the name from here so that I can name them, go the same. So I'm going to grab this name and change the 2 to 3, right, when I'm creating this, okay? So I come here, nothing crazy, say create image. Put this in here, change the 2 to 3. So we are now moving to our code version 3, right? Create the image. So we should see an image being created here. Yep. Just to make sure we are good, we can copy this and put it here so that our naming, we can always see it from anywhere, right? From any angle. Okay. Now, what are we going to do with this Go image? We're going to take this Go image and give it to the launch configuration. So that anytime autoscaling say, hey, I need a server, launch configuration to use this Go image. Right? So what do? We come to launch configuration under autoscaling. We say create launch configuration. Now I'm not going to choose this, right? I say my images. Now I have a version 3. I say launch configuration. Anytime you're launching a server, use this. Now, what kind of server should I ever launch? A T2 micro, nothing more than that. Next, what is the name you want to give to this? We can call this class what? Launch config. Okay? It says, do you have an IAM policy that you want to give me? We say no for now, right? We don't going to do that for now. We go to advanced. It says, is there any script that you want me to always pass to the servers I'm running? The answer is yes, and it's crucial. Because if you don't pass this script, okay, my users will not be able to log in. So please always pass this script to every server you launch. Now, next, it says, should I only assign a public IP if I'm launching the server in a default VPC? The answer is no. We don't even use default VPC. So, as a matter of fact, assign a public IP address to every instance you launch. To a next. It says, from the Gold image, I've seen that you are using an 8 gig of storage on the Gold image. Do you want to maintain that? We say, yes, sir. We can increase it. We cannot decrease it. Next, asking, what is the security group? When I launch a server, I should put it in. I say, well, I need to have access. So put it in a firewall called this, because it's a firewall that's accepting me as the engineer. And because it's going to be a web server, it's also accepting people from the internet. Next, it says, okay, so far this is what you have defined. See, it's like 3 clicks. You can't get this wrong, right? It says, so far this is what you have designed. Does this look good to you, sir? Say yes, create the launch configuration. It says, before I proceed, one thing that I forgot. You know, I know in the code image, you have you have designed users in there so that you don't even need to use the key. But what if those users cannot log in tomorrow for any reason? You definitely want to have a backdoor, right? I say yes, for sure. So use this key in case I need the backdoor. So this key will be associated to the user EC2-user, which I'm going to take and I'm going to keep in my secret server. When I'm going to use that is only when Emmanuel, which is a user in this image, admin, which is a user in this image, Mike, which is a user in this image, cannot log in. That is when I will go and look at EC2 and its keys as the backdoor, as the last resort. Say, okay, great. It says, okay, I have successfully created your launch configuration. Okay? Now, do you want to create auto-scaling group, which will be using what? This launch configuration. When you are working, please enjoy it. Read what they are telling you that you are doing great, right? Here are some helpful resources you can get started with. Read those, things like that. You have successfully created a launch configuration. Do you now want to create an auto-scaling group? Remember our story? Our story is that auto-scaling group is the one that sends the signal to launch configuration. So they are saying the same thing here. Create auto-scaling group, which is going to use what? This launch configuration. I say yes. Now it says, do you want to give auto-scaling group a name? Say for sure. Right? Call it class auto GRP. With that name, says, how many servers do you want to start with? I say I want to start with 1 server. Let me show you guys something here. Please take note that we did not delete our server here. I just want to point you guys to that so that hopefully it will answer to those your questions. Remember, we still have 1 server running here. Okay, just take note of that. That we did not delete our server here. Now, I say started with 1 server. Okay, so start this group with 1 server. Say, okay, what network do you want to use? I say put it in SmartTech network. Under SmartTech though, it's telling me I can see 2 subnets. It's a good idea to use at least 2 minimum, right? I say yes, take the 2 and use it. Okay? Now, advanced, because we are advanced people, we are not practitioners, right? Do you want to incorporate? Do you want to incorporate load balancer into auto scaling? Remember, you can learn auto scaling without a load balancer. I say yes, that's best practice. Receive traffic from a load balancer that I already have. So if you do not have a load balancer, you will need to go and create one first. And the kind of load balancer I have is a classic load balancer. So I hit this box and it can see my SmartTech ELB. Say, take that. So now, because I'm using a load balancer, health check should not be done on EC2. It should be done on the load balancer itself. And my connection drain or my health check has a 300 seconds grace period. Let's see if that looks good. Next. Now, this way is important, right, for us. Remember, we said it should start there. Let me go back. We said it should start this group at 1, right? And we say next. You say, do you want to keep this group size at 1? That means I will only be running the 1 server. Doesn't matter if the world is getting to an end, I'm running 1 server. I say, of course not. I say, use scaling policy. So it say, okay, you told me to start at 1. How big do you want me to go? I say, well, just go up to 2. Doesn't matter, it's just a test. Things get crazy, spin off another server. Things get less crazy, delete 1 server and continue running 1 server. Okay, say, okay. Now, what are those things that can get crazy though? Because you are telling me I should scale between 1 and 2. What will make me not to run 2 servers and only run 1? What will make me not to run 1 server and run 2? See, based on the scaling policies, right? Based on the scaling policies, and I say what? New alarm. What needs to happen? I would say if the average CPU of a server goes up to 75%, remember, this is not a standard number. Yours you might think 80 is good. Your company might be too sensitive to say, no, we don't want to wait till 75. We want to make sure something gets to 60%, action should be taken. It all depends, not a standard number. Okay, CPU at 75%, or at least one consecutive time of 5 minutes. Do you want to wait for 5 minutes when the CPU is at 75% before taking action? Or you can drop it down to 1 minute, meaning CPU is 70%, please make sure you're on it. Meaning when the time CPU is at 70%, even for 1 minute, launch a server. You create that alarm. Now, it's saying that what? What action should I take? Andrew, Joker, what action should I take? I say add 1 server. If I don't do this, CPU would be at 75%. I will receive alarms that CPU is at 75%. No action will be taken. Add 1 server. Okay? We forgot something here. We did not tell that CPU at 75% where you should send it to, right? So send it to us here using SNS, right? Say that and take what action? Add 1 server. Now the reverse is true, right? Decrease. Add new alarm. CPU is on the contrary less than 25%. 1 consecutive time of 1 minute. In our case, we want it to be very sensitive. CPU should never get down to 25% and you're waiting for 5 minutes, wasting resources. Just kill 1 server. Okay? Create the alarm. What should I do though when CPU is at 25%? Take off 1. Okay. Does that look good? Next. Says, do you want to know when things are happening? I say, of course. Send it to who? Smart Tech Alert. Do you want to know when I launch a server? I personally don't know, don't want to. Do you want to know when I terminate a server? Not really, that's your job. Yes. When you are supposed to launch a server and it did not go successful, that is where I'm gonna definitely have to work, right? When you are supposed to terminate a server and it did not go successful, that is when I need to work. Apart from that, if you are supposed to be flexible, right? Launching and deleting servers based on the matrix I've given to you. If that is what you are doing, I don't want you to be telling me, right? Next. Now, when I launch a server, how should I tag that server so that you know this is a server from Autoscale? We say, give it a name called what? Class Auto Launch. Okay? That way, when we see a server with this name, we know that it was launched by Autoscale. Review, telling you what you know already. Great. There you go. And Autoscaling Group now gives you this nice dashboard. One thing I want to point out to you in this nice dashboard is, see, Autoscaling in itself has what? Launch configuration attached to it. So Autoscaling Group has launch configuration so that anytime something happens, it sends signal to launch configuration. For launch configuration to then do its thing depending on what we have defined, depending on the image we have given to launch configuration. And we can already see that one server has been launched. And in activities, it tells, right, we successfully launched 1 server. So if I go back here, Vincent, before creating auto-scaling, we had a server here running one, right? And we have two auto-scaling to always maintain but one server. Why is it that auto-scaling launch another server, sir? Hello?
Yes, Prof.
Why is it that auto-scaling launch another server? Even though we had another server here, one already, right? And with two auto-scaling to only have one server. Why did auto-scaling launch another server even though this one is here?
Auto-scaling does not depend on the servers that were already launched here.
Thank you. Auto-scaling does not recognize, I prefer that better, does not recognize, but does not recognize any server that is not part of its cycle, right? This server was launched manually. Whether this person is doing is what, that's not our business. And that is why we are tagging our servers. You can see that our server is very different from any server here. It has its name defined. And if we go to the load balancer, we should see this server behind the load balancer right here. And it's healthy because the health check was able to done on this server and so that the server was fine. If we log into this server now, run our command, we should see auto-scaling launching another server. Nothing complex here. Any questions? It's like 10 clicks for the whole thing, right? Can't get this wrong. Okay, one question before you guys go. Chichi,
Emmanuel.
hold on. Chichi, what is the use of htop? You know the command htop that you guys install when you were doing auto scaling on the server? What do you use htop for? Is she on? James, what do you use htop for? Can somebody hear me?
Yeah, probably it's Andrew Bunny.
I can hear you.
Go ahead, Andrew Bannon. What do you use htop for?
I think we use htop to monitor the CPU of an instance.
Yes. htop is a command to monitor the CPU of an instance. So then to make sure that you guys know what you're doing when you do yum install htop. Why do you do yum install htop before you start using htop?
Prof, this is Andrew, because the instance does not come with htop.
Thank you. Right? The instance comes with some default commands, but the default part of the default commands, htop is not part of it, right? So you have to install the command in order to be able to use it. Top, on the contrary, though, there's another command called top that monitors the CPU too. It's part of the default commands coming with your Linux instance. But htop would give you the CPU in a nice view. It's not part of it. So you have to install that command. And if I'm to see somebody working and I'm happy, I should see them having two terminals. You open one terminal, whether you're using PuTTY, doesn't matter. You open this PuTTY here, you log on to the same server, right? You leave that terminal open. You open another PuTTY, you log into the same server. Now you have two terminals to the same server. On your right, you run on your left first, you run htop, right? Showing you the CPU at 0.5%. On your right, you run cat dev 0 to dev new, right? On your left, you should see the CPU going up to 100%. That is when I will see you looking at your servers at auto scaling to see if it's going to launch a server in the next 5 or 1 minute, depending on your definition. That is what will make me happy. If I see you working one terminal, I will not be happy because you are not actually making sure that it's working on the server first. I saw some of you working one terminal, meaning you run the cat dev 0 command and you assume that it's working. You go to your screen, you start looking at going to see whether it's going to launch a server. What makes you think that the cat dev command was successful and it has pushed up the CPU to 100% without you actually seeing it? You need 2 terminals. Run it here, see the CPU reaction here first before you go to your screen and start looking to see if a new server will be coming on. Now, when you want to do the reverse of it, you come to the right, you kill that command, right? To kill the command is Control-C. When you kill the command with Control-C on your right terminal, on the left terminal, you should see what? You should see the CPU dropping to 0 point something. And you should not go back to your AWS dashboard and looking to see if you will see the server being terminated. That is the way you work. Making sure what you are not assuming that it worked, right? You are seeing how it's working. Okay, one last question.
Yeah, Prof, this is Fabian. Can you demonstrate to them how to create an image and take some time to explain the importance of the no reboot and reboot, please?
Oh, okay.
And apply that how it will affect at work, whether they need permission to do that or not.
Yes, that is very good catch. So, you see our live image here. I can come to this image after we do whatever, right? I want to create an image of it. I put the name here, class version 4 or class version whatever. If I don't check this, if I check this box, I'm saying that the image should be created, but the server from which the image is being created, see, what? We are creating an image from this server, right? If I check that box, this box here, I'm saying that the image should be created, but that server should not be rebooted. Rebooted means what? Means the server will be stopped and it will be started again, right? Just like you reboot your server, you reboot your computer. I've told you guys before coming to class, what do you need to do with your laptop? You need to restart it, right? So that it comes back on fresh. So that you don't face difficulties like, oh, I'm not seeing your screen. Oh, I'm not hearing you. Oh, I'm not this, right? You have to restart your machine before coming to class. So if we are creating an image and we check this box, we are saying that don't restart the server from which you are creating the image. Now, if I don't check this box, I'm saying that what? Create the image, and in the process of creating the image, restart the server. As you know, if you restart your computer, that means your computer will not be available at that time that is restarting, right? If you restart the server too, that means the server will not also be available at the time it's restarting. Now, it's not a problem if it's a development server. If it's a server that you own, that you are just doing testing for it, like what we are doing here, it's not a problem, right? But what if it's a server that Facebook is currently, people are currently visiting Facebook on? Meaning it's a server in production. Whenever we talk about live environment, we are talking about the production environment. The environment that is available to customers. An environment where you cannot get things wrong. If I don't check this box, that means I'm saying this image should be created, and that production server that customers are currently working on, or buying stuff, or enjoying social media on, should be rebooted. The reboot might take 30 seconds, 1 minute, but all is that the server will be done. That is not acceptable in production. So if you are creating an image in production, always make sure, except you are creating the image during the maintenance window. For example, if you say you are doing something in production, they might say, okay, do that at 1 a.m. At least we can take an outage of 30 minutes while you'll be doing this thing. Okay, you can decide not to check that box at that time. Why? Because you know that you have the maintenance window at that time where your company has already announced to all its customers that, hey, we'll be doing maintenance on this day. For those people that use online banking, sometimes you log onto your online banking, you see a red banner saying that this service will not be available because we'll be doing maintenance on Saturday from this time to this time, right? So meaning at that time, your online banking won't be available. Well, at that time, you can create an image, you can reboot a server because it doesn't have an impact. You have that maintenance window where customers are aware. But if you are creating an image in production where there's no maintenance for it, maintenance windows for it, please check this. This was my, I think, second or third mistake at work. I remember still when I did this thing. It sent an alarm because the server rebooted, it went out of the load balancer, right? And they have configured in the load balancer so that if you have an unhealthy host, it should send an alarm to who? To to SOC. Okay? And SOC was calling people all over that something just happened in production. Can you check? Can you check? And since my manager was aware that I was creating an image, he came and said, oh, you did not check on that box, so what happened? I was like, yeah, I forgot, man. Right? So please, don't be like me, okay? Check on that box, except you have a maintenance window. But that's what that means. Okay? All right. Mr. Ebon, you have anything for them? Ebon. Okay. Are we good?
Yeah, Prof.
Yes, sir.
That instance that was launched after auto scaling, in other terms, can we say it was launched by default? It's not a silly question, don't laugh, please.
Why do you? It was launched by auto scaling, not by default, because we told auto scaling that it should start the group with one server. So that is not by default. That is a definition that we put in there. Remember, by default, it's not something you define. But in auto scaling group, we define telling auto scaling group to launch a server, to start with one server. That is why one server was launched. That is not by default. That is a definition we put in auto scaling.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Hey,
Okay, was good.
Okay. Yeah. Can you guys see my screen? I don't know which name I'm using here. Can someone confirm that they can see my screen, please?
Confirm, Mr. Fabian.
Oh, good. So I'm trying to create something here. Thank God we are here in Zoom, preparing for your next test, right? I'm going to simulate how AWS certification might look like, which will also make you start paying attention as you are creating things and going. So I want to test this poll to see. Your next exam will probably be like this. It will be more theory-based, but also very heavy on labs. So start preparing. I think I will announce the date tomorrow so that you can start preparing and all that it will cover. But look at questions like this. And maybe I should stop recording. This is not very important. I was just making up these questions right now. Who can answer the first question?
Prof, this is Andrew.
Yes.
The first question would be number 4, no access to any service.
To any what?
Oh, no access to any service.
Oh, service. I'm hearing whether servers or service. I don't know whether it's my ears. Okay. Why?
Because of the policy of the least something policy, that you only grant them policy as they need it. You only grant them permission as they need it.
Max Funky, is he right? Max, are you there? All right.
Can I add something? This is Stephanie.
Yes.
And in AWS, by default, everything is denied. You have to allow it and allow only the things that you need.
Wait, you are saying in AWS, by default, everything is denied?
So in most of the services or like policies, it's like denied. You will see denial role in most of them.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but just be careful with your choice of words.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know that in a default NACL. Anyway, let me not answer the next question. All right, let's take a look at the second question. Who can try?
Can I try again, Prof?
No, let's hear from another person.
This is Vincent.
It's 2.
Please, you need to say your name so that we know who is talking. Okay.
It's Doris.
Doris thing is 2. Vincent, what is your opinion?
It's number 2. Allow all traffic to the outbound rule.
Who else has an alternative opinion? Do we all agree it's 2?
Yes.
Confirm.
There is nobody that can stand out here. Why is 2 correct?
This is Vincent. Let me define myself.
Yes, be brief, please.
Yeah. This is 2 because, as Prof explained, we should allow all traffic at the outbound knuckles. So any inbound knuckle, we don't care where you're going to. So all traffic in the outbound knuckle is good.
I think you are misquoting Prof.
Prof, maybe this is James. I will go for 3.
So you are the person that has a different opinion from the entire class. Why do you think 3 is good though? Can you hear it, James? Okay. Who else has another opinion?
I do have another opinion. I don't agree with this.
Sorry, it's wrong. It's a customer. I thought it was default.
It's Andrew Banning. I think the right answer is 4.
Why?
Because it's a custom knuckle, so you are the one to define the traffic.
Thank you. All right, I just wanted to bring this so that we can start paying attention to things. When we come and we are saying by default, custom and all that main, you know, sometimes it doesn't make sense and you don't know where you will meet it, right? You might go into your interview and I just sat here thinking about this. I saw polls in a Zoom and I just was trying to test it. So when you are answering questions, pay attention. Especially for those who might be preparing already. So when you read a question like this, pay attention to every word that they are put there because it's for a reason. You can see here, they might say which of the following answers are true about knuckles. Just that plural answers will tell you that they might be, and if they don't put this there, right, might tell you that there might be more than one answer. So begin to pay attention to little things like that. You also record that from my assignment. Sometimes I highlight the plural just for you, but as you continue to grow, I will not continue doing that, right? Because we need to also increase your responsibility. So pay attention, and even after selecting the right answer, tie it back to the stem, to the main question, and see whether it actually matches what it is, okay? Don't just see an answer at the first sight and think that, okay, it's true. There are answers that many of them might be true. So if you just jump and select this and go to next, you will miss the other one because you might need to select more than one answer. So this was just a test. By the way, is Zoom working beautiful for you guys? Was that okay?
It's perfect.
Awesome.
This is
right.
Vincent.
Yes.
I tried to help Thierry to log into the Zoom bed. We could not make it. I don't know why. When we log in, they keep on saying that the host has another meeting going on.
Yes,
so I don't know if he contact you for that.
Yes, I let him in. Thierry was using the meeting for tomorrow, the 26th. If you had paid attention to the date,
oh, sorry,
you would have seen that. So he was using the meeting tomorrow to log in today. That was why the conflict was there. Again, we are just talking about paying attention, right? And I remember in my text and email, I asked you to make sure you register for both. The registration is just going to be one time for both classes, but they will be recurring. But if I notice that people are signing in with or forwarding the meeting ID to other people to join, I'm going to change the password. And going forward, if you sign in with one name, because I want to automate Zoom in a different way, I'm learning more about it, I will just kick you out and lock you until then you will be asking me, why are you not coming in? That will be your cup of tea. We have talked about that several times. For example, I'm trying to see that maybe when I create something like that, I just push to meeting attendance, which are tied to the email that I'm using to generate that. I don't want to be spending too much time checking whether this has been done or that. Is either you are in or out. The responsibility increases as we move on, right? So, very good. We're going to leave it here 9:33 and prepare for the class tomorrow. Please, can you guys really just tie with this level where we are now so that we go to a next service? I know that there are a lot of things that we need to do, but I'm looking at the plan. I don't know whether you can still see my screen right here. Are you seeing the OneNote? Probably not.
No.
I wanted to show you guys something, what we need to cover. And if you are not doing your part, we'll continue to waste too much time on things that we might have already seen or so. But let me see this, whether this will work. Share screen. All right, I'm trying to share it, but you guys cannot see, right? You still cannot see? No, all right, no problem.
You can see now.
Oh, you can see now? I wanted to show you what we need to do. So this is something that I'm putting together so that I can track whether we are covering everything or not. But I'm also preparing heavily for the next set of class, which will be better. These are the things that I'm identifying in IAM that we need to cover. And if you start looking here, you will see like, okay, did we cover all this? IAM futures. So these futures, I'm referring to all what I've mapped here, right? Can you guys explain all these things here? This is global, this is account number and all that. Can you explain all that? Then on that dash, which is on that dashboard. So I'm mapping all that here so that we can cover. Did I give you an IAM quiz? And is there an IAM project? Inline policies, YAML versus this. So I'm trying to identify all that, right? In VPC, I'm also mapping out all the things that we should do. So I'm doing a lot of work in the background, and that was why I could not really map to an assignment like I was apologizing, because I'm trying to figure out that you get the best. So after, that is one of the changes that we're trying to make. After we have mapped all this, we are going to pre-record the videos so that you guys can watch over and over even before we go to the next class. When to the next, in the preparation for next class. When you watch all this during the week, now we come to class, we focus more on the labs and we see what questions you have, then it will be more smooth. But these are just changes that I'm trying to make for the next class. And I just wanted to share with you that we are not sleeping. We want you to get the best. Keep practicing, okay? All right, thank you guys. Have fun. Bye.
Mr. Fabian.
Yes, sir.
What can I do to log in tomorrow, please?
Use the same one that you were using today. That was due for tomorrow. It should let you in. Try to log in early. I will actually be 30 minutes early in that class so that I see who is having troubles or not. But if you come early, I might be showing you guys some few things before the actual class starts. Whoever comes early, I will just be pointing at some things. You are not required to come really 30 minutes early, but hey, knowledge is knowledge. If you join early, I will be showing you guys some few things before we finally get to class.
Okay, I will be there early. Thank you, Mr. Fabian.
All right, thank you. Okay, guys, let's call it quit for the day. It's been a long day already. All right, so let me stop sharing. And very soon we're going to implement that. If you are in class, you need to turn your video on, okay? So that we see those that are getting distracted and all that. Okay, bye.